Hold on a second. Okay. Before we get going, I've got a question for you. You're playing at a ballistic cuff level. You're playing at an All-America level. Is that something that you even give much thought to, or, where does that kind of rate in your mindset of the way that you go during the season?
I try not to, think too much about it. I just go out there and kind of just, just play the game as it goes. I don't try to, do too much or do more than just playing the game itself and just playing football. So I try not to think too much about it. I just try to go out there and just play my game.
So then what's your motivator? When you play, what's your motivator?
Just to win the game. As long as we win the game, that's really all that matters to me. It wouldn't matter to me if I had, 2 yards or receiving or whatever, as long as we win the game, that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Sorry for hogging up the beginning part of the questions. So you know the drill here. We're going to run all the different media folks one at a time, okay? So members of the media, if you have a question for wide receiver Tylan Wallace, please click raise hand. Our first question is going to come from Chris Becker from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Tylan, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good.
So, after such a tough and emotional loss, you said that you and some of the other seniors are, stepping up and trying to keep the positive mood in the locker room. How are you doing that, and how are you going about, making sure everyone's in the, in a positive mood and not harboring on that loss too much?
I think it really wasn't too bad. I think the day after when guys came in, everybody had a pretty good attitude. Nobody was really just too down on themselves. But guys like leaders on the team, we kind of just made sure guys weren't too down and make sure they had the motivation really to keep going and make sure we didn't have take a day off, because we know that K-State's not taking a day off, so we can't take a day off. So I think the key thing was just making sure everybody was on point and ready for the next one.
Right, and this is a midway point of the season now. How important is having that positive motivation and that positive headspace at this point going forward?
Oh, it's probably one of the most important things really at this point in the season. We still gotta, still have a lot of football left to play, and we can't just take those games off. We lost this game. We just take the rest of the season off. It doesn't work like that. So we got to keep going and make sure everybody's up and still has a positive attitude.
Awesome. Thank you, Tylan.
Our next question is going to come from Garen Emig from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Garen.
Good to see you again, Tylan. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good.
Very cool. Spencer Sanders describes himself as a perfectionist. Do you notice that about him?
Definitely. Yeah. He goes in practice. You can see it. He anytime he makes a mistake, or if he has a ball thrown, just maybe even just a little overthrown, underthrown, whatever it is, he'll come over, talk to you about it, say, this is what I need to do. I did this and that. And he'll just go really into full detail about what he did wrong and what he needs to fix. So as far as saying he's a perfectionist, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And when things come off for perfectionists, there can be like an emotional toll on them because they want to be on point all the time. What do you do? What can you do? What can your teammates do to sort of rally support for someone like that who expects so much of him when the few times things go off track a little bit?
Definitely just try to stay positive the whole time. Go over there, talk to him, let him know. Just try to pick him up really. When you have guys like that just they try to do everything right 24/7, and when they make a mistake, they're really hard, and he's hard on himself. So when you have guys like that, you got to go over, you got to talk to them, you got to make sure their energy is up and make sure they're staying positive.
Very cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Tylan, how's it going?
Hey, good.
I know you just talked about, guys not being too down, but I just wanted to ask, what was the intensity like in practice?
It was pretty good. Honestly, I don't think everybody didn't really take it, not that everybody didn't take it hard, but I think they put it in the past. We didn't really let it linger for too long. Everybody realizes that we still have goals that we still want to reach, and everybody is, I think, on that same mindset, and everybody realizes that we need to keep pushing forward if we want to achieve those goals.
And then after a loss like Saturday, going into K-State, how important is it for you guys to come out in that game and really start off on the right foot, in that first quarter?
Oh, it's very important. I mean, we can't come out and just kind of loaf around and, just be down on ourselves. K-State's not going to come out and give us any slack, so we can't go out there and just kind of play down, not to our level. So we have to go out there and be prepared for them.
All right, thank you.
All right, last couple questions for Tylan. Our next one is going to come from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Tylan, you've seen quite a few different offensive coordinators here. What is notable about Casey Dunn as an offensive coordinator?
I mean, just the way he kind of dials up plays, I guess. I mean, I guess the fact that he's been my receiver coach since I've been here, so I kind of somewhat have a feel for how he does things and what he wants to do. So just having him as an offensive coordinator, he really understands the game of football and what needs to be done and in certain situations. So I think just overall his understanding of really the game of football and his play calling is really just a key thing that stands out to me.
So do you think he kind of came to play calling pretty naturally? Do you think it came to him naturally?
For sure. We come in and some weeks and he has new plays written up for us, and he goes through and explains them to us why he did this and that. So I think it was kind of just like you said, kind of a natural thing for him. He was kind of, I guess, meant to, call plays really.
Good stuff. Thanks, Tyler.
And our final question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the Oak Collie. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Tylan. So one of the recurring themes on the offense this year has been the offensive line with the injuries, and as Coach Gundy would call it, the musical chairs that you guys had to do up there. So you lost 2 starters in the first game, and then on Saturday another starting lineman went down. I just wanted to know how those injuries and the inexperience up front kind of affects you guys overall as an offense.
Yeah, obviously it hurts when you have starting guys and they get hurt, and the next guy just has to step up. I mean, nothing we can really do about it. The next guy has to be able to step in and do his job, and we expect the same from no matter who's in there to execute their job. So obviously when starting guys get out there and they get hurt, that hurts us as a team, but we expect the same, play level or level of play from the next guy up. So no matter what, we expect the same from everybody.
Do you think it kind of in a way handcuffs what the offense can do and the play calling and all that stuff just based on what those guys know how to do and what their experience level is?
Definitely. I think that's really just any offense. You look at your personnel and you look at their strengths and their weaknesses and you call plays accordingly. So depending on who's in there, you know what plays would probably go well for them and what plays wouldn't go well for them. So I think just with really any offense, you look at personnel and you kind of decide a game plan from there.
So my last thing would be, what is your personal confidence level in the offensive line and those guys and knowing that they'll do their job every day?
I expect the same no matter what. I mean, I expect the same that I did before the season even started that I do now. I expect them to go out there. I expect them to dominate like we have been this whole season. So I can't say my expectations really haven't changed.
Sweet. Thanks, Tylan.
Tylan, thank you so much. We always appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Josh, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Good. I would expect you no other shirt other than a camo shirt.
I've read a few of those comments today in practice.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got several members of the media here. They're just going to send in their questions one at a time. So members of the media, if you have a question for offensive lineman Josh Sills, please click raise hand and we're going to try and get to everybody. So our first question is going to come from Cody Nagel from Go Pokes. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Josh, you guys dealt with some injuries again on the offensive line on Saturday. How do you feel that the unit handled that overall?
I feel like we did really well. Adversity has been a really big thing for us throughout this entire year since, I guess you could say, kind of beginning of fall camp. So it's one of those things we kind of learn to deal with on the run. You can't let it get you down. You can't let it affect how you play. Because the moment you do is the moment that, you lose battles, you lose confidence and that type of thing. So you have to make sure the people around you, bring on the same level of playing as yourself and the leaders around you.
How do you feel that Preston Wilson did? It looked like he kind of moved in next to you there for a little bit.
I think he did really well for his, I think that was his first game he's ever played in maybe, or first time he'd ever been in the game. But I think he did really well. We watched film. He's got things he needs to learn from and get better at. And he went out today and without a doubt, picked Coach Dickey's brain, worked his butt off during practice to fix those mistakes and get better at what he needs to get better at. He had a lot of questions for me and Tevin and Rye, and we tried to help him as much as we could. But yeah, I was really pleased with how he played, how he came in, his confidence level, and that type of thing.
All right, thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Garen Emig from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Garen.
Josh, thanks for talking. Appreciate it very much.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Spencer Sanders is a self-described perfectionist and is a guy who obviously takes things very personally and very hard when things aren't on point all the time. A, do you notice that about him? And B, do you go out of your way to support someone who's that self-demanding?
Yeah. It's pretty easy when you can notice somebody like that. Because they get down on themselves pretty easy if something doesn't go the right way. Or the biggest thing where I notice it in Spencer is if he makes a mistake, as soon as he goes to the sideline, most of the time he has it out of his mouth before Coach Rattay even says something to him about it. And with those type of people, you just have to be supportive of them. I know after the game yesterday when we came in, we worked out, he was down. He kind of hung his head because he felt like the mistakes that he had made had lost us the game. And that's one of those things where you have to reiterate to him, it's not a one-person game. It's not I lost the game. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Every single person on all three aspects of the ball, could have made a better play here, or better block there, or, penalty here, or turnover there, could have went one way or the other. So it's the ultimate team game. So with that type of person that takes everything personally, you have to just make sure and reiterate to them that they keep their head up, that it's not an I game, it's a we game, it's a team game.
Right.
That everybody's in it, not just himself.
Very well said. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Chris Becker from the Oak Collie. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Last time we talked about how big of a leader you are on this team. What are some of the things you had to say to the team, after such a tough loss last week?
The biggest thing that I said is, you can't hang your head. Obviously everybody was disappointed, upset, and mad we lost, as we should have been. But you can't hang your head. You can't dwell on a loss, because the minute that you dwell on that loss, it carries over week to week to week. I was in a similar situation in 2018 when I was at West Virginia, when I was on that team and we came here and that debacle happened in Stillwater. And I think we were ranked in the top 10. Ended up getting beat that game. And we went back to Morgantown. Everybody hung their heads, couldn't get over it, didn't, watched film. And we went on to lose. I think it was the next 3 games after that. So that was my biggest message, is if you dwell on that, the loss, then that's what can happen. You come in, you watch film, you work out, you run, you put it behind you. Once film's over, you go out, you put your cleats on, your helmet on, your pads, you got the practice, it's over, it's done with, forget about it. You have a brand new week, a brand new opportunity to go 1-0, and that's the biggest goal and the biggest message that all of the leaders on this football team have made it a point this week that it's a new week, it's a new team, and it's a new opportunity to go 1-0.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Our next question is going to come from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Josh, you were moving around quite a bit the other day. This was our first chance to see you play tackle. What is the biggest difference for you when you're moving from guard to tackle?
The biggest difference for me is speed and size. Inside guys are typically bigger, typically a little slower. Outside guys are usually a little taller, a little skinnier, and quicker guys. So you just got to kind of be a better fundamental technician, I guess you could call it. So that's the biggest thing that I notice is the size and speed.
Changing tracks a little bit. I know this is your first time to deal with Casey Dunn. You weren't here when he was just a receivers coach. But what stands out to you about him as an offensive coordinator?
As an offensive coordinator, the biggest thing that, I talk to him every day is his willingness and drive to put people in positions to be successful. Whether that's, run schemes or that's passing game or inside zone or whatever it is, he makes sure that the plays that he calls puts every single person in a position to be successful. It doesn't put one person in a bad position to miss a block or, not catch a ball or make a bad pass, that there's always that concept of the play that he's so driven and determined to put people in those successful positions to be able to make a play on the ball or, have the right angles to make a block and those type of things.
Good stuff. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Then our last couple questions. The next one is going to come from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Going back to what you were saying about not dwelling, on the Texas loss, how much, starting off on the right foot in the first quarter against K-State, how big will that be in terms of, moving on and making sure this doesn't go into, game one and game two post-Texas?
Right. To me, that's everything. The first drive to me will be a statement drive. And to me, that's kind of how I'll look at it and how I'll take it is how we're going to respond. And to me, the biggest message around here, the team that everyone, Coach Gundy, Coach Dunn, everybody, the entire staff, all the players and everything is when we come out against K-State, we prove not only to ourselves, but everybody else that we're much better than what we played last week. And to have that confidence going into that game is going to be huge for us because Kansas State's a really good football team. They're really disciplined. They make a lot of plays, and they have a lot of really good players. So for us having that confidence, that mindset to go into that game that, hey, we not only have to prove to ourselves we're a lot better, but everybody else, we want to prove that that's not how Oklahoma State plays football.
Appreciate you, Josh.
Thank you.
Our final question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Josh, so Scott asked you about your move from guard to tackle, and you touched on most of what I was going to ask you about on that front. But so what I did want to ask is, did you feel comfortable moving from guard to tackle?
Yeah. So the very first thing that I ever told Coach Dickey or Coach Dunn before I'd ever came here is that I didn't care where I played as long as I got to play wherever I played to help the team. And all through I think it's my fourth year playing college football now, I played center, I played both guards, and I played both tackles. So it wasn't something new for me. And the biggest thing that helped me was the very few, I think we got 3 or 4 spring ball practices. And then towards the end of summer, going into fall camp, Coach Dickey had moved me out to right tackle and left tackle and kind of bounced me back and around just in case something like this would have happened. I'd be prepared and I'd gotten reps. So it wasn't something that was totally new to me or brand new, and I felt really comfortable.
Is that something that you anticipate having to do more of down the stretch this year?
It's just going to be one of those things, kind of, something like what happened in the game. Jake goes down and, they just say, hey, you're going to bump out the left tackle. That's fine. But I mean, Jake's done a really, really good job so far this year. Obviously Tevin's who Tevin is. He's done really well. Hunter Woodard has done really, really well. Rye's done really, really well. Preston, the way he came in and played, he did really well. So it's one of those things, we have a lot of guys that are playing really well, and, freak things like that happen where you get a guy that goes down and you got to bump the next man up. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't say I expect this to continue to happen or down the road or one of those things. It's just going to be one of those things. If something freak like this happens, then I would expect this.
All right. And so Coach Gundy has talked about how with the injuries up front for you guys, he's described it as musical chairs. Would you say you guys from the Tulsa game when the 2 injuries happened since then, would you say that you've seen a lot of growth from you guys up front and figuring some things out and piecing stuff together?
Absolutely. I would say that we're night and day, completely different than what we were going into that game or even coming out of that game. From not only the aspect of the people that we put in, but everybody's maturity level, we've gelled together so much better. Coming in, you have that many moving parts. There's a lot of people that are on different ends of the spectrum as far as not necessarily knowing, what Tevin thinks or what Rye thinks or, what Jake Springfield would think or what I would think. So you get that practice time, that playing time, then everybody's on the same page. They know what Tevin's thinking, or they know how Rye feels whenever he makes a point for the direction for us to go in. So it's one of those things that you just gel together and you mesh together once you get those quality reps in practice and games. And then that's where you make your growth the most, is it slows everything down. Everything's not new to you. So you can actually work on your fundamentals and the things that are going to help you become a good football player.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Josh, thank you so much. We really are thankful for you, and we're appreciative that you would hang around after practice and visit with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You take care and have a great night.
You as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Members of the media, thank you as well. We're all very thankful for you as well. Have a great night.